Hey, gang. Welcome back. This is the Helpful Home Inspector Show, starring yours truly, Matt Yake, the Helpful Home Inspector. We're up here in Hartford, Wisconsin, and my co-host today, Michael Severson. How you doing, man?
All right.
Yeah. Gonna have a great show for you guys today. Today we have a number of fun things going on. Our main topic today is going to be child safety in the home. We're going to spend quite a bit of time talking about that. Michael has some young ones at home, so he's going to bring some personal experience to the equation. But we inspect every day for child safety stuff, like consistently every single day. Yep. So, but we'll go through all that kind of stuff. We also have our defect of the week. We're going to save you $1 right off the bat. And we also have our tip of the week at the end. We have a very interesting mystery box battle today. So that'll be fun. I know Mike's like, I know all these ahead of time. And then we also are going to give you the top 5 maintenance tips that you should be doing in early spring. Guess what? Even though we just had snow yesterday, it is still early spring in Wisconsin. I mean, we had 85 degrees one day, 2 feet of snow 2 days later.
Yeah.
Welcome to Wisconsin. That's kind of how we roll up here. But, the warm weather is coming. I heard next week we're supposed to break 70 again. So we'll see. I'm not counting on nothing. I had a snow day on May 23rd when I was my senior year of high school. Amazing. Yeah, it happens. So the first thing we're going to get into is a little bit of housekeeping. Bob, our co-host, is still not doing so hot. Gives Bob some prayers out there. He's having some physical ailments with sore joints and things like that. And yes, Bob, I know you're old, but you're not that old. So hopefully Bob will heal up quickly, and we will see him back here soon. Now, as far as the first thing we're going to get into as far as information goes is something that one of our inspectors, Dustin, has close to home, and that is we have mold issues in the attic, which we come across pretty frequently. I mean, probably 2 or 3 months that we'll come across some mold in the attic.
Yeah, I mean, there's mold everywhere.
Well, yes, there's mold everywhere, but like a excessive amount of mold.
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to fill the entire attic space, but lots of times it's usually dealing with bathroom vents and leaky openings in the house and things like that are leaking moist air into the attic space. Cold air condensates it on the surface, moisture forms, and not too long later you get some mold, right? But we're going to talk briefly about a mold in your attic as our defect of the week, and making sure that your bathroom fans are all discharging all the way to the exterior is the key here, all right? So here's what we got for our defect of the week. Mold in your attic. Hey gang, Matt the Helpful Home Inspector coming at you from a house over in Heartland, Wisconsin. Today we're talking about bathroom vent fans. So all of your bathroom vent fans need to discharge to the exterior, and there's a big reason why. And if you've ever gone up into your attic and seen stuff that looks like this, okay, this is a mold situation. See all that stuff growing up here, and that's because of too much moisture from that guy. And over on the other side, there's another one of those. Definitely want to make sure you get all those bathroom fans vented to the exterior completely so that moisture does not go up into your attic. It will cause you a problem. Have a great one. Remember, you guys, the better you take care of your house, the better it's going to take care of you. The better it's going to take care of you. Heck yeah. But in this case, people were not taking care of their house. They got lazy. They had an older home, and they wanted to put bathroom fans in like I suggested. Great idea. Okay. But then when they went to resell the house, I actually got called back to re-inspect this one, and the mold that wasn't there the last time, 4 or 5 years before, had formed because they put the bathroom fans in like I suggested, but they just sent the vents right up into the attic space. Okay. And so that was pushing all of that bathing moisture, all the just in your house period, you have moisture, right? Yep. So if you have any vent fans pushing air up into the attic, even just like a kitchen exhaust fan, right? We're putting way too much moisture up into the attic space. We're going to end up with all kinds of moisture problems, mold issues, those kinds of things. It can cause significant damage to the sheathing. That excess moisture can cause the sheathing that's on your roof, the plywood or OSB to delaminate and kind of expand. One of our guys, Dustin, had a attic space that had that going on, and he had to have, it was pretty bad. He had to have all the wood torn off his roof, and then went through the roof replacement process. I mean, it was, what did he say? It was like $30,000.
Something like that.
Yeah. I mean, not cheap process. So if you're putting in a bathroom fan, that's a great idea. You want to get that warm, moist air to the outside of your home, but you got to make sure it's completely to the outside of your home. Also, a tip when you're doing that, when you're putting
that exhaust vent in, there's a little one-way flap in there that opens and closes. When the vent fan turns on, it pushes the air through, opens up the flap, and the air can move through. When it's not operating, that flap closes, not allowing any insects, outside air, that kind of stuff to enter into the home. But when you're putting that tube on, okay, and the flapper's in here, if you put a screw through there or a nail or something, you're going to prevent that flap from being able to open, and that vent fan's not going to work properly, which we come across a lot. Somebody put a brand new fan in, but it doesn't suck any air at all, and that's because that flapper is usually stuck or the pipe is kinked. Putting it on with a nice foil tape usually is the best way to go, because foil tape's going to hold up in any temperature issues that might be up in your attic space and things. So
when I installed mine, I actually went one step further and I took silicone, because the fan isn't sealed, and then sealed all the joints on that fan in the attic and from the bottom, and then foil taped the duct and everything.
Yeah,
so,
just to keep that air where it belongs, right? Yeah. So that is our defect of the week. Bathroom fans to the outside to prevent mold. All right. Now, if you do get a mold problem, which we see, like I said, 3 or 4 times a month, each of us probably, it can be remedied. There are products out there like RMR and other like bleach and water mixtures. It's a little bit more hazardous to your personal health than RMR. But otherwise, you can always call a professional in, about $1,500 to $2,500 to get the mold remediated in your attic space, generally speaking. And proper mold remediation means not only treating the surface to kill the mold spores, removing any contaminated insulation and stuff, but then also sealing the area so that it is not going to allow the mold to regrow on the surface. So, yeah. And with that, let's get into our Save a Buck. So, saving a buck today, turn down the temperature of your water heater by 5 degrees and see if you notice a difference. I would bet you probably won't.
I don't think so.
Yeah, most people, when we go into the house,
my wife will notice, but
maybe your wife might. Yeah, she comes out red, man. You guys were up north that one time, and she took a long hot shower. We keep the water temperature turned up in north because we have a lot of people up there that need to get showers and stuff, and that's really the only reason why you should have your water heater turned up. Which I shouldn't even be doing that anyways. But anyways, when I put the tankless water heater in, it's not going to be an issue, you know. But she came out like just red. I'm like, holy cow, you like that shower hot, girl? She's like, yeah, I do. But, as far as the water temperature, you want to really have that water temperature around 120 to 125 degrees. Anything more than that, you're going to be extremely uncomfortable. Even if you say, I like my showers really hot, you don't like them that hot, okay? When you get into a hot tub, the hottest the hot tub in the state of Wisconsin is allowed to be is 114 degrees. That's the hottest in a hot tub, and generally speaking, when you go into your hotel hot tubs and stuff, 106 degrees.
Yep.
Okay. There's 125 is really the top end of that. If you're running more than that, it's not going to get your dishes any cleaner. Your dishwasher has its own heater in it, so you don't need to worry about that, okay? Even if you put cold water into your dishwasher is going to produce 190-degree water to help kill bacteria and stuff. So, turn that water temperature down 5 degrees. Just 5 degrees is going to save you a couple of bucks a month, probably. Probably a month. You can see the return on that a little brief investment, taking 5 minutes to go downstairs and turn that temperature down just a little bit, all right? Tammy, there we go. Okay. Now, as far as the co-host question, Mike, you've been inspecting with me we were at a real estate office recently, and I was like, oh, this is how long this guy's been here. This is how long this guy's been here. And I was like, Mike, you've been here 7 years inspecting houses. What's the best part? Whether it be personal or on a job, whatever,
Well, helping people is one, and then obviously the flexibility.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure, especially with kids and stuff. Yeah. Mike and I are both very alike, and Dustin and Ben. I think all of us are and Bob. We're all helpers. Like anybody needs help, we're one of the first to jump in and lend a hand. So it feels good helping people learn about what they're buying, educate them about their home, save them from making mistakes occasionally. And I always say, no matter what I have to say at a home inspection, everybody loves me. because if I tell them a bunch of bad stuff, I just save somebody's ass. If I tell them a bunch of good stuff, they get to buy their new house. You know, so the only person that doesn't like me if I say bad stuff is the seller. You know, but it's facts. Either the things exist or they don't exist, right? So generally speaking, you know, everybody's pretty friendly to us on site. But yeah, I mean, the flexibility is huge though, as far as being a home inspector. I mean, you know, we get to determine our own schedule. I get to go golfing with my dad on Thursdays. Hey, pops. And Mike gets to spend more time with his kids. They can take, you want to go on vacation? Just go on vacation. You don't need to worry about it, you know, which is kind of nice. And, but at the same time, if you want to work, you can work, you know, just make it happen. But yeah, cool. Now, as far as our topic of the day is going to be revolving around child safety in the home. And what we're talking about here are elements within the home that are hazardous to small children. Okay. Yes, I know you're 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old is still a child, but they're old enough that they should probably know better. But lots of times they will do things that you would not expect a 4-year-old to do. So having 2 boys myself, you know, so we do unexpected things. Now, as far as the child safety in home, let's start out with some statistics here. All right. So children ages 1 to 4, according to the CDC, there are approximately 3,800 deaths per year. Okay, and this was a 2021 statistic. So 3,800 deaths of children between the ages of 1 and 4. Children ages 5 to 14, there was almost 6,000 deaths in 2021. And I think that's avoidable in most cases. Okay. Now, as far as these deaths, suffocation is the second leading cause of death in children under the age of 4. Usually involves with co-sleeping and improper things in cribs and things like that. That leads to those suffocation type of instances. But lots of things can lead to problems in your home, and being a diligent parent includes making your home safe for your child, dependent upon their age, you know, and what is appropriate. Now, one of the things that we come across a lot of times in homes, and one of the things we talked about as far as child safety goes, is guardrails. Okay. Guardrails, generally speaking, you should have a guardrail anywhere you have a drop off greater than 20 inches, or you have more than 2 steps. Because more than 2 steps means a 3-foot fall for somebody, right? And if you're under the age of 4, a 3-foot fall could be deadly, you know? 3-foot fall for someone over the age of 4 can be a significant injury, you know, especially when you get into older people and stuff like that. But guardrails have a few specifications that we're normally looking for when we're inspecting a home. For instance,
Spacing.
Balusters.
Of balusters, yeah. No more than 4 inches apart.
Yeah, and why that?
Just because for kids getting their heads stuck in between or falling through, stuff like that. And they also should be vertical, not horizontal.
Yeah,
so it doesn't become a staircase for small kids.
Yeah, it becomes a climbing tool, right? If they're horizontally placed, okay, they're enticing because children like to climb. I was a climber, you know, and the last thing you want is your kid climbing up 4 feet.
Oh yeah,
to a 13-foot drop, you know, or whatever. I mean, just the thought of it would be just scary.
And a lot of new houses, they have those, you know, the cable balusters. They look really cool, really nice. But that's one thing I think of every time I see those things is, my daughter, she'd climb right up.
Oh
that
my
thing,
gosh,
you
dude,
know?
yeah.
So
yeah, your kid, she was. I went over to visit you. She's climbing on the what was it, like the baby chair thing with the. I'm like, she's standing on top of this thing like it's freaking Mount Vesuvius or whatever. And like,
I was changing the diaper on the other one, and she's climbing up my back, getting on my shoulder. Yeah. So
hence I got her jungle gym for Christmas.
See?
I encouraged
taught her,
right? Yeah, I know.
So.
But as far as these guardrails go, generally what you're looking for is a 4-inch spacing to prevent children's heads from getting through there or bodies from getting. I've been at ones where you could fit like a 16-year-old's body through these things. It's just crazy. But 4 inches is really what you're looking for. That 4-inch spacing, basically they assume that the average child's head that's going to be moving around, walking, crawling, whatever, is going to be at least 4 inches. And so if it's you know, at least 4 inches or smaller, that head won't get in there. And the children, when they get their head stuck, what do? They flail, they jerk, they try to get themselves free, right? And at that time, they're going to cause spinal cord injuries and neck injuries and muscle tears and things, which, I mean, for a little kid, when they're stuck, they can pull pretty hard, you know?
I've had 2 clients over the years that said they got their head stuck in balusters
When they were kids?
When they were kids.
Oh, yeah. I do.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, I stuck this fat head right through the balusters, and I didn't get stuck, thankfully, but I could definitely see where you could.
Yeah.
You know, you get past the ears, and then you're, up to your chin. But it can also cause suffocation and other types of things. So guardrails, generally, you also want them to be on a deck. You'd be looking for a guardrail height of at least 42 inches. Okay. In a home, guardrail height should be at least 3 feet. Okay. If it's less than 3 feet, not only is it an issue for small children, but it's also an issue for adults, because then we get below our center of gravity. And if that guardrail is at below your center of gravity, you accidentally bump into it, you can go ass over tea kettle. Yeah. So 36 inches inside of a home, 42 inches outside of a home. And remember, any drop greater than 20 inches, lots of times the most common place I'll see that is like the front porches, like they have a handrail on one side of the houses, but then they have this big drop off on the other side. If it's dark out, somebody's coming into the house at Christmas time, I mean, that's a big drop, and when you're not expecting it in the dark, so definitely something to watch out for. The next thing we're going to talk about are safety outlets and plug blockers. So in all honesty, I get annoyed by plug blockers when I'm inspecting houses.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
especially when they're on every single one, and the house
outlet.
is vacant.
I get it. We got to have not that one. Which one is it?
It's
not that one.
The big pack.
Of course, it's this big one here.
Yeah.
Whoop, taking out the Diet Coke sponsor. So these plug outlets, they're just basically a 2-prong thing, sticks in the hot and the neutral side of the outlet. And it works really good for preventing little kids from sticking things in and stuff like that. But when I'm going to inspect, I mean, it's just me being annoyed, but I shouldn't be, because I'm glad that people are being safe with their kids. But for a home inspector, I got to take my little tool, pop that thing off, which they make them flat. Like, they make them beveled at the edges, so they're really hard to get stuff behind to pull it off,
These ones actually have a little notch at the top of them.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Oh, so you can
You're
get
supposed to put that up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that way you can get
there to pop it off if you need to. Yeah. But when I have to go around and test 100 outlets, I mean, holy cow, that's a lot. That's a lot of plug blockers to take
switched
off.
outlets in on top of it, then it's even more.
Yeah, for sure. So plug blockers are great. Okay. However, there is a new technology that's being put into majority of the outlets these days.
They're code now.
Are they code now?
All new construction has and if you renovations to your house, they're looking for tamper-proof outlets as well.
I go to grab the NEC book, but last time I did that, I took out a shelf. So
we'll leave it there.
We'll leave it there for now. But basically, the outlet has a little piece of plastic behind each of the openings that when you put the 2 prongs in at the same time, the outlet of the little plastic thing moves off to the side and you can make contact. Okay, but you have to put 2 things in at the same time. If you just put one side in, or you're not putting the outlet in straight, it won't go into the receptacle. It works. However, lots of times when people get frustrated with it because they're not putting the plug in straight, they just push harder. Yeah. And then you end up breaking the little plastic thing and it doesn't do any good anymore. But this is a great little tool. Even if you don't want to use the plug blockers, this is one way that you can still make sure your kid's safe, So one thing to do, plug blockers, they work. There's some different variations of them, but ultimately they're all going to do the same thing. They're going to stick in that plug. They're going to be difficult to remove, but they're going to keep your kids safe, which is the main goal. And they're not very expensive. I mean, this isn't a big kit here, which was like, this whole kit was like $30, but you can get just a little box of them on Amazon or something for like $5. They're not very expensive. There's little pieces of plastic that prevent stuff from being shoved into the outlet. So, so that's plug blockers and safety receptacles. Windows. Now, Windows today, a lot of the newer Windows are coming with window restrictors on top where you can flip it out and only allows the window to be opened up so much, right? And the distance is supposed to be 4 inches, right? 4 inches so we don't get little heads and things in there, right? But it would allow for some breathing air and stuff like that, some air movement without being able to open all the way up that the munchkin could climb out or anything like that. And they're basically just 2 little plastic pieces that pivot out. If you go look at your windows, they're usually little, they look like little alligator, humps. And you got to push them up and then they pop out. And you can push them back in if you want them. You can lift the window open all the way. But a nice little safety feature, that they're building into a lot of the newer windows. Obviously, we're talking about double hung or single hung windows here. We're not talking about necessarily casements or anything like that. Casements are just a different beast. But also with Windows. Oh, go ahead.
The windows, the double hung. So glad you brought that up. So difference between a double hung and a single hung is the single hung, the top sash won't drop. It's fixed. And a double hung, both sashes move. So I've actually seen it quite a few times where people will slide the screen to the upper window, and then you just drop the upper window down because it's good for kids. They can't get out, but it's also good for dogs and cats. They can't get their paw up against the screen, so you don't end up with torn screens and stuff. So.
I'm of a little bit of a different perspective on that.
All right, that's
ready?
fine. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So with double hung and single hung windows. Now the majority of people put in double hung windows, right? However, I'm going to suggest that you save thousands of bucks and put in single hung windows. Okay. Most people don't operate that top sash.
No.
You see that once in a while where they lower the top, but very rare.
Most people don't even know it moves.
Most people don't even know that it is operable.
They don't even know. Yeah.
But you're paying
and
a lot
they
of
can fold them in to clean them.
Yeah. And you got to pay a lot of extra money for double hung versus single hung. And you're talking probably $100 a window, if not more than that.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah. So when you're talking about a whole house full of windows, going from a double hung window to a single hung window, going to probably save you a couple $1,000, and you're honestly probably never going to notice the difference, right?
Yeah, probably
not. If you do have pets though, double hung windows, lowering that top sash might be a really good way to go. Keep in mind though that the bottom sash is still unlocked and operable at that point, so it could be lifted.
Yep.
So be careful with that. And also, when you have windows that don't hold themselves up, people, do not put a stick under the window to hold it up. Okay? Somebody's going to get hurt. If it's not you, it's going to be your kid, your cat, your dog, whatever. Something bumps that stick, that heavy piece of glass and plastic or wood, whatever it may be, is coming crashing down, and somebody's going to get injured. So don't prop windows open with sticks, all right? If you need to adjust your sash in some way, shape, or form that the sash isn't going to fall down or it's going to hold itself up, there's lots of tips and tricks out there. If you don't know one, drop me an email, the Helpful Home Inspector, or is it the Helpful Home Inspector at Gmail? I think,
correct.
Right? Yeah. The Helpful Home Inspector at gmail.com. Send me an email. I will send you some suggestions on ways that you can hold that window up without having to put a stick underneath it or anything like that. Okay. There's lots of ways to do it and to do it safely. So,
especially on single pane windows where they can
single
fall
pane
and
glass.
then they just break.
Yeah, and if that glass breaks, it's super sharp in those old windows. Yeah, they didn't use tempered glass, but definitely something to be careful with. All right.
Double hung windows are also nice when it's raining outside, but there's a nice breeze. You can lower the top part because it's normally over, or that overhang, the soffit is over it, and you can still keep your windows open and keep a breeze, which is nice.
True. Yeah. I have an air conditioner. I'll make my own breeze. Not that kind of breeze. You know what I'm talking about. Tammy's shaking her head. All right. And if you have a question, if you're out there watching, drop a question in here. We love to help you out in any way, shape, or form. Otherwise, let's get back to child safety. So child safety, the next thing that we're going to talk about is corner edges and bumpers. Now, this is around like usually where you have your fireplace, hearth, and things like that. The stone. Oh, Michael's got a section there. There you go. So this usually comes with an adhesive material that goes right on the edge of the corner of the wall. It can go on the corner edges of tables and things like that. If you have your fireplace hearth, that stone that's on the front there, you can put that right across there. Anywhere that you have a sharp edge, that if a little head were to hit that, it would cause a significant injury. And this stuff is it's very soft, very pliable.
Yeah.
It's not going to hurt.
And I got those off Amazon. You can get them pretty much anywhere, but they make, so you can put it pretty much anywhere, coffee tables, like you were saying, hearths.
Yeah.
But they also make straight corner ones. They come in 90s,
okay.
so it's pre-bent formed, so you don't have to try and kink this to a 90.
And it just has an adhesive that you put on there, right?
Yeah,
like
it's
sticky.
a double-face tape. Throw one section on here, one on here. Peel off the back, stick it on, and away you go.
There you go. Yeah, super easy. But it's kids are not the most stable on their feet, so a good solution to making sure that little heads stay intact. We don't make any more bumps or grooves in them. So so putting on those is really a good idea. Tables, hearths, chairs, anything that's got a sharp corner, even drywall. A drywall corner could be sharp enough to really cause a significant injury to a small child.
That's why they do rounded corners primarily now.
Yeah,
Yeah. So and they're plastic.
They got the plastic bumper behind that rounded corner and drywall in the new homes. So the next thing we have is testing your water for contaminants. Now, the number one most harmful contaminant to small children's development is lead. So you want to make sure you have a low lead content in your water. All right. There are other things like arsenic and E. coli bacteria and things like that are harmful to all people. Okay. But lead has been shown to be a significant influencer in brain development and all kinds of other issues with development. So you want to make sure that your water is as lead free as possible. You've seen the old commercial where they have like, would you like some lead with some 2% lead or 1% lead or, you know, and they're like, I want no % lead in my water, you know? And yeah, I mean, you ultimately do want absolutely 0% lead in your water. Is that really super possible? I don't know. I don't know what I mean, there's acceptable levels of lead according to the EPA and the CDC. But I don't know. No lead is acceptable to me. So.
Yeah, we got city water, and then I put an RO system in, and that's all we drink now.
Yeah. The RO system is really the only way to go. RO is going to remove almost all the lead out of it. I mean, if not all of it, almost all of it, and really give you probably the cleanest water possible. And if you do put it on a RO system, and any water that you're using for consuming is where the concern is. Bathing with lead, with lead water, and washing your hands and taking a shower and stuff like that isn't going to dramatically affect you. It's consumption. When it's when that lead gets into your body. Reverse osmosis system. What is it? The reverse osmosis is that RO system, and basically what it is, it's a set of filters that will basically the first one gets large particulate, the second one gets micro particulate, and then the last one it gets like bacteria and things like that, like things that are smaller that you'll never see. You know, so
and there's all different. There's 3-part systems. There's all the way up to like I think 7-part systems now with filters and
I mean not quite
RO systems,
not quite distilled, but pretty close. Pretty close. And you can get it come right out of the refrigerator. You can get it to come right out of a separate little faucet next to your faucet in your sink, your kitchen, and systems $1,000 to $1,500
if you have somebody install it.
If you have somebody put it in, If you buy it at the store, $500-600, $250.
I bought mine for $250, and I mean you can spend $800,000, and then you have to install it yourself. Just depends.
It depends on what your knowledge level is. Don't listen to the 16-year-old kid at Home Depot. Okay. There's a lot better resources out there for that. And if you need one, send us an email, thehealthofhomelesspector@gmail.com. All right. Now, as far as the clean water goes, any other things? Reverse osmosis is really the best way to go.
And the only other thing I can think of water related has to do with just sanitizing baby bottles and stuff. That's about it. But it's getting boiled basically. So
Now the next thing we have is pool fences and gates. Generally speaking, if you have a pool in every municipality in southeastern Wisconsin, I believe, you have to have at least a 4-foot fence encapsulating the area so that children cannot get in there. You can have gates. They need to be latchable gates. They cannot just be push or pull open gates. And they're required before the pool can be filled with water.
I think homeowners insurance requires it too.
Probably, yeah. But when I was doing the quality fence and deck stuff, we had a couple of customers that had us come in and build these fences because they had pools, and they had the pool dug, they had everything ready to go, but they didn't know they needed a fence, and so the water guy showed up and they're like, I can't put water in here. There's no fence, So but you got to make sure that you get that 4-foot fence up, and not only to protect your kids, but protect neighborhood kids, protect you from getting wildlife in your pool and stuff like that. Lots of good reasons to have that 4-foot fence up. And remember, latched gates, they don't have to be locked all the time, but they're required to have latches. All right. And it can be a chain link fence. It can be a privacy fence, whatever. It just needs to be a fence, a restrictive barrier. So the next thing we have is safety latches and locks. All deadbolts should be throwable, meaning that you should be able to flip the lever and have the lock open up so that you can get out of the house in an emergency. Every once in a while, we come across a house where they
just had one last week.
It requires a key to get out of the house. Okay, and
it's on a door that has glass.
Yeah. Well, and the whole thing came up because of the movies, right? Yeah. So they had the old movies where the guy would punch through the glass, or whatever. He'd reach his hand around and unlock the door, and then he'd be into his house to do his whatever miscreant behavior he wanted to do. I got news for you. If somebody's willing to break things to get into your house, they're getting into your house, okay? You just need to accept that. All right. But by putting a lock on there that requires a key to get out of the house, you're only hurting yourself, because that means that in the event of an emergency, if you can't find the key, guess who doesn't get to go out the door when the fire's in the house? That's you. That's your children. So you should never put a lock in the home to exit the building or exit a room that requires a key to get out. Okay. So yeah, we want to get rid of all those. We still see a number of them. I still list them as defects just because of the safety risk.
And most of $15 fix. Yeah. I mean, defect, it can be a $15 fix to be a defect. It could be $1 fix. It could be
free.
$10,000. Yeah.
It could be free. Yeah. A water heater put on 150 degree water, it's a defect. You're going to cause second-degree burns in less than 3 seconds to anybody under the age of 5. It's a defect.
Turning your dial down.
Turning your dial down with your water heater. Yep. Yeah, defects don't have to cost a lot of money, but in this case, when we're talking about those throwable locks, you want your children, in the event of an emergency, to be able to get out of the house to safety. And by putting a keyed lock on an exterior door from the interior is only hurting yourselves and putting yourselves at danger. So don't do that. When you go to replace those locks, when you move into the house, make sure you're putting ones on there that have throwable locks. That's the way to go. And then what I saw, some of the new technology you can tie into your fire alarm, and when the fire alarm goes off, the door automatically unlocks.
Interesting.
Sounds interesting, doesn't it? Yeah. So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I think it's a good thing.
So you can start a fire outside of somebody's house have the windows open, and then the door
smoke
unlocks.
goes inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're kind of making a spectacle of yourself at that point.
Oh, yeah.
But it does allow, if there's a fire in the house, it allows neighbors, fire department, everybody else to get into the house without having an extra barrier that they got to get through. Yeah. And if your kids or anybody else needs to get out of the house, they don't have to worry about finding the lock in the smoke while they're crawling on the ground.
Sure.
So I can only see an upside, really. I mean, the downside, somebody starts a bonfire in your front yard and your windows are open.
Bomb through your window.
Yeah, if they're doing that, dude, use a boot. Just get it. Seriously. So that's that. Now, the other thing that we do, when people sell their house, they have to fill out a lead paint disclosure. And newsflash, if the house was built prior to 1970, there's lead paint. You should just assume it, okay? You can go and you can take a core sample and you can send it off for testing. And you can spend all kinds of other money and stuff like that. But lead paint it was a fact of life up until the 70s.
Wasn't it 78?
It might have been 78. Yeah, so, I don't know.
Well, they got rid of it, and then
there was chitter
until the 80s.
There was chitter chatter about it in the 60s.
Oh, okay.
But they really didn't start talking about banning it or removing it and that kind of stuff
70s.
Until the 70s, yeah.
Nice.
Believe it or not, like everybody thinks, well, where are they going to get the lead? They're going to eat the chips? No, the most common place that the lead comes in is during construction. Construction, remodeling, deconstruction, because we're breaking up those walls, we're breaking up those bonds in the paint, and we're making a dust, and that lead dust is what we breathe in, and then it becomes a hazard for our children and stuff.
Don't know anything about remodeling.
You don't know anything about remodeling. You're only a general contractor that flips houses. Yeah.
Safety from DHS is before 1978.
Say that again.
Before 1978 for lead poisoning among children.
It was allowed
lead
to be
paint disclosure.
Before,
Yeah. So yeah, as far as the lead paint goes, assume it's in your home. Okay. Mm-hmm. The only thing you can do is if you're worried about paint chips, don't leave any paint chips. Encapsulate them. Mm-hmm. Paint the room, or whatever. Yep. It's something that if you are concerned about it, you're probably not going to be able to remove it. So if you're concerned about it, go and buy a house built after 1980.
Yep. There you go.
Then you're almost guaranteed to not have lead. Mm-hmm. Not guaranteed, but almost guaranteed. Yeah. So that's lead paint. Cordless blinds. I mean, I didn't really
cordless blinds.
I love them because they don't have the strings that break all the time and stuff like that. But I never really thought about it until I started doing some of the research. Strangulation from small children. When I started becoming a home inspector, it was one of the things that was in our training. Yep. And yeah, I get it. The cords that hang down, they're long, especially when the blinds are up. That cord's dangling on the ground, But so strangulation issues and things like that with the mini blinds. So having cordless ones are great as long as they work. I mean, there's some cheap ones that don't really work very well, but for the most part, almost all of them that I come across work really well. The only ones where I see it kind of struggling is when the blinds are very heavy. So when they have those like wood slat blinds and stuff where they're super heavy, those ones tend to kind of overwhelm the springs and things. But still a great idea. If you're going out and buying blinds, cordless blinds are really the only way to go. The favorite ones that I see are the electric ones. Those are... those are awesome. You know, you go into a bathroom and they usually because we're inspecting the house, right? I got to test the windows and stuff, and I come across the blinds, and on the counter there was a remote control that had 3 buttons on it. Well, guess how many windows there were in the room? 3 windows. You know, so all I do is I push the button, and it goes open. I push it, and it could stop halfway. You can stop it wherever you want. Push it again, it goes closed. It was pretty slick. Cordless blinds or remote blinds are a great option. Now we did talk about fire safety in a previous video where we were at the Germantown Fire Department, but coming up with a fire safety plan for you and your family is a great idea, you know, especially when you're in a 2nd-story home and the kids are on the 2nd floor. How are we getting our family out of this house in the event of emergency? And you hope that a house fire never occurs in your life, okay? Tammy's had that happen in her life. Thankfully nobody was home at the time, but it can happen in the middle of the night, you know, and Christmas time is probably the most frequent time you hear about it, you know, middle of winter, chimney fires, Christmas tree fires, electrical fires. A lot of it happens in the winter time and happens at night. So you want to make sure they have a fire safety plan for you and your family so that you and your kids can get out of the house where we're going to have a rendezvous point, you know, so I know everybody's here and that kind of stuff. Let them hear what the smoke detector sounds like when it's going off, so they're not just scared of it because they've never heard it before. You know, set it off. You should be testing your smoke detectors once a month, okay, to make sure that they're working properly. So your kids during a fire should not be the first time they've heard that go off, but it should alert them to, hey, there's a problem. I need to get out of this house. Not necessarily worry about mom and dad. Worry about getting out of the house, you know, and getting to safety is the main thing. All right. So develop a safety plan for you and your family. Practice the safety plan. There's a fire prevention week. We'll have to look that up when that is. And we'll have to have Dick come in. Dick from the Germantown Fire Department will come in here and we'll talk about fire safety plans. And during that week is a great thing to just practice that plan, just to refresh everybody's mind so that you know what action to take in the event of a fire.
It's in October.
Is it October? Okay. So great time to do it. So we'll talk more about that. We'll bring that up at a separate video episode, but make a safety plan for you and your family. Now, as far as water temperature, we talked about in the beginning, we talked about turning the water heater down. Really, if you have children under the age of 5 in your house, you want to turn that temperature down to under 120 degrees. Until age 5, the kid's skin is very, thin. They haven't got a lot of layers of skin and stuff. Their toughness on the outside of their skin hasn't built up. I was going to call it hide. Sorry, we're not animals. Well, we are animals, you know. So because it's so thin, they can actually get 2nd and 3rd degree burns pretty quickly. And if you get your kid out of that bathtub and they're red and blotchy on their skin, the water is too hot. And those are actually 2nd degree burns. So you want to make sure to try to avoid that. Turn the water temperature down 115 to 120 maximum.
Set at 115.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be kind of... If you have a wife who likes really hot showers, it's going to be kind of bothersome, you know, but
she just turns it all the way up.
Yeah. And honestly, 120 degrees is going to be a hot shower still.
Is.
Yeah. But the main thing isn't to protect the kids from you. You know how hot your water is. You know where to set it. It's those babysitters. It's the grandma and grandpa, people that come over here. 120 degrees doesn't seem incredibly hot to them personally, but when you're talking about small children, it's a different situation. So definitely turning that temperature down is a really good idea. And again, it doesn't cost you nothing. It's free. Okay. And actually by turning it down a little bit, it's going to save you some money as well. So
save you a buck.
Save a buck. Absolutely. The next thing we're going to talk about is anchoring things that could tip over. Kids like to climb, people. Mm-hmm. And when they start climbing on a bookcase or TV or
I actually got one.
You've got one. There you go. What is it called? That's a kit that you bought?
Anti-tip kit.
Okay.
You can buy them at Menards, Home Depot. It's just got 2 plates. These little black plates get mounted to the wall. And then they got little pins that you slide through, and there's this cable that you attach from like a dresser
so
to the wall.
One plate goes on the wall, one plate goes on the dresser or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you put that cable on, and then that's what, 4 inches?
Yeah.
Something like that.
And it's rated 400 pounds.
Yeah. And anti-tip kits, lots of times
5 inches.
if you go to IKEA and you buy a bookcase, it comes with a strap, like an anti-tip strap, you know. But most people just throw it away. I'd install it. It's not that hard to install, and it means the safety of your family. So it's a little bit of an inconvenience and having to install it, because usually you got to get a ladder out and you want to install at the top. You don't want to install it halfway down, because if that thing's tipping and halfway down you have 4 inches, that thing's already past the tipping point, and that's going to fall. Yeah, it's just going to tear that fabric off the wall. So putting up at the top or whatever. I know it's a little bit of an inconvenience. But really good idea. It doesn't cost that much money. I mean, how much would that kit cost you?
I don't remember. It was like under $10.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and if you put that kind on, you can actually just take the part off the wall and take the bookcase and move it wherever you want.
Yeah. There's little cotter pins that you throw in there, and it just holds it in place. And then when you want to remove it, you just pull it out, pull the screws out of the wall, and then patch those, put it to the new spot
wherever you gotta go. Yeah, perfect. So anchoring things is a good idea. Fabric mystery. Oh, the mystery. Okay, so I called it a mystery strap in our notes because lots of times people see that in their that when they buy a bookcase or whatever, and they're like, "What's this strap of fabric for?" Because they don't read the directions to find out what it is. So I just called it a mystery strap, but it is a safety strap. All right. Now the next thing we're going to get into as far as child safety in the home is something that is a hot topic, I would say. Yeah. Child gun safety. Okay, and I'm using the G word, I know. Okay, but it's something that we need to take a little bit more seriously in our society these days. Children under the age of 18 should not have access to firearms. Okay, bottom line. There's no reason for it. No, what if somebody breaks it? No, they don't need access to a firearm. Okay, if you're gonna have access to a firearm, whether you're a child or an adult, you need to have a lot of training. You should have a lot of practice with that firearm. You should be able to safely, operate that firearm and understand everything that goes with it. But all too often we hear about kids that just get a hold of a gun and they're playing with their brother, and next thing you know, somebody gets shot. I'm like,
yep,
killing me.
When we had our first kid, the doctor, when we were there, she asked if we had guns in the house, and I'm like, yeah, why? She goes, well, do you keep your ammo in a different spot than the gun? I'm like, never thought about that.
Yeah.
Because I keep it in a safe. I got a stand-up safe, so I throw everything in there. Yep. And they said, well, if they get in the safe, now they have access to both, and potentially you get dangerous. So, so just another thing to think about.
And so, Mike and I are both gun owners. We're not anti 2A or anything like that. We're both we like to go shooting. We enjoy going to the range and stuff like that. But you got to be safe, people, especially when you have small children in the home. They see these guns on movies and TV shows and all that kind of stuff. They'll even get them as toys, right?
Yep.
My kids played with Nerf guns religiously. Okay, we constantly had Nerf gun fights, squirt guns, Nerf guns, laser tag. I mean, they're everywhere, right? Yep. And so when they see a live firearm, they sometimes will think, ooh, cool, okay? But other times they're thinking it's just like all the other toys that they're playing with and that they're aiming at their brother and stuff, right? Yep. Awful idea. Now, every time that you buy a gun here in the United States from a distributor, okay, whether it be Cabela's, Walmart, Fleet Farm, your local gun shop, I don't care where you're going to shop for your guns, they all come with a gun lock, okay? Now, these are basically a cable lock that goes up through where the magazine is, comes out through your discharge chamber, and they work. They're not going to be able to fire this firearm with this lock in place, no matter what they do, unless they have the key, okay? So if this lock is in place, that gun is safe. Now, they also do make trigger locks for rifles and shotguns and stuff. Generally speaking, these don't come with the firearm, okay, but they're not that expensive, okay? They're not that expensive, and if you have firearms in your home and you cannot afford, you have a rifle in your home and you cannot afford one of these, okay, send me an email, talk to me. I will make sure that you and your children are safe gun-wise, okay? I have access to lots of resources as far as gun safety goes, and I'm happy to help you out at no cost to you, but if you can't afford to get the gun locks, okay? If you can't afford to get the gun locks, you probably shouldn't be affording to get guns, period, okay? But if you are going to have guns in your home, gun locks is where you start, okay? Ammo in a different location than where the guns are stored. Guns should be locked in a safe. with a lock on them, okay? So that even if they do mistakenly see you punch in the code or something like that, okay, and they get into the safe, this is still preventing them from being able to operate that firearm, okay? And you know, that gun guy out there is going to be, what if I need to get to my gun in a hurry? Okay, well, you don't need to get to all your guns in a hurry, all right? No. And if you're concerned about that, get a finger safe, whatever, in your dresser drawer that only reacts to your fingerprint, and you can get to your firearm in the event of an emergency that you need to. But we're talking about your kids and your family, and when they're young, you got to be safe, okay? And if you can't do that, then you probably shouldn't have firearms, okay? Yep. That's just the reality of it. So be safe. Get gun locks for your guns. Keep your ammo in different locations. Get a gun safe to keep your guns secured, and don't play with the guns in front of the children so that they don't think they're toys. They're serious devices that can cause death, okay? So we need to take them seriously as well, all right? Now, some other gadgets that we have for child safety. One of the things that's in this box is these doorknob things. Basically, it goes on there, and little hands can't get around to squeeze the doorknob enough, so these things just spin. They won't allow them to open the door to the basement and things like that. They also make those for, like, your ranges and stuff like that. If you have a gas range, you know, they put them on there and you won't be able to turn the gas on in the oven, even though the gas knobs are like at a really bad height for little kids, you know,
right there in their face. Yeah. This is another style. This is just for a, like instead of a knob, this is for a lever one. So,
and that's got the thing. Now, these are child safety devices. However, sometimes they can stump the adults as well. But definitely something to put in your home. This is a little one for toilets. So I used to manage apartments.
Toilets. I got one to go along with that.
Okay. So I used to manage apartments, and I cannot tell you how many times I had to go over to apartments where stuff was just jammed into the toilet and blocking the toilet from operating because some little kid lifted up the lid and shoved some stuffed animal in there, you know. Sure. And these basically are little push button things that keep the lid from being opened, or from the handle being flushed, because the little kids, the flush stuff happens, you know. So these are another little device to help in the bathroom.
One of the ones I brought.
Oh, we brought a toilet seat in.
I brought a toilet seat.
Oh man.
But it's not just a regular toilet seat.
It's got 2 toilet seats on it.
Well, yeah, it's for the little ones. So you got the first and second one, but it's actually, well, when it's mounted, it's a slow close.
So no fingers get slammed.
Or other things.
Okay. We don't want things to get slammed.
No.
That works really good. I mean,
I've heard of stories.
Yeah. I've seen ones where we had a family come up north, and they have a little guy, right? So little guy, little butt, right? We have a elongated toilet
just
seats,
like
elongated bowl, just like that one, yeah. But we don't have that internal toilet seat, and so he goes to sit on there, and his butt just goes right through this thing, you know.
Versus having this one
versus
down.
having that on. So what he does is he puts his feet on the seat and squats, and he's in the bathroom, and the little kids, lots of times they do their business with the door open, so mom and dad can come in and help or whatever, you know. And so he's. Seriously, I shit you not. He's standing on the seat, squatting down, and he's taking a dump. I'm like, what? You know, and I mean, we need an explanation.
They do it in China that way.
What?
Uh-huh.
When have you been to China?
I've seen videos. I've never been to China.
You watch videos of Chinese people pooping?
No.
Michael,
no,
you're scaring me now.
It was like a TikTok or something that somebody was talking about going to the bathroom in China.
Because that's the real deal.
It is. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Google said it. It's real, man.
I did not intentionally Google that.
How do Chinese people poop?
No,
that wasn't it. All right. I'll take your word for it. Now we have one other one over here. This is just kind of like that toilet seat thing, but this is for strapping the refrigerator door, so that the refrigerator door doesn't get open and stuff. And it's a similar device. You just push a little button on there, the strap loosens, and you can open the fridge and freezer as you need to. But it also keeps that door latch shut so that it doesn't left open all night or whatever, because some little munchkin was playing around with the door. So lots of cool stuff here. Now, what we're going to do for our I think that was child safety. That's pretty good. That's a lot of stuff.
I got 3 more quick ones.
Oh, do you? Yes. Give it. What do you got?
Unplugged chargers that aren't in use.
Yes.
Wall chargers.
So that they don't get chewed on and electrocute.
Yeah. We had that happen once.
Yeah. And strangling hazard as well.
That too.
Yeah.
Yep. Batteries was the other one. batteries, especially the little tiny batteries.
Choking hazard?
No, swallowing them. It starts basically eating away the inside. It's emergency surgery. So especially those little tiny watch batteries and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the other one was garage door sensors, the auto reversing sensors.
Auto reversing sensors are a good idea too.
Making sure they're on the floor, not up in your ceiling.
Yeah.
Where sometimes we find
they're like this far apart on the ceiling or whatever.
Taped together, or electrical tape together.
Nothing. And I get they can be annoying sometimes, but when your kid's going out on the big wheel and that door's coming down, it can cause a lot of damage, and some of those doors will come down with a lot of force and can cause broken limbs and things like that. So, I mean, you can imagine the damage it does to your car. Imagine what it does to your child. But for the batteries, what we went out and got recently, because I used to just keep a bucket of batteries. Just AA, AAA, CBAT, or whatever. We went and got it. They sell these cases for organizing your batteries, and it actually has a zipper on it and stuff.
I put them all in a tote and put them on the second shelf in a closet.
Unreachable.
There
you go.
She can't get to them. She can't even climb the shelves because there's no lower shelves. So
she's 4 now.
No, like the first shelf
up
is
there
this high.
I could see her pushing something up there.
Don't give her ideas.
The Red Rocket.
Yeah.
Love you, Scarlett. All right. Now the Dustin and I have 3 boys. It happens. It does happen. It does happen. Yeah.
They stand on top of each other though.
Yeah. Now the question giveaway for this week, the prize is going to be a door lock, a safety refrigerator latch, a safety plug, a gun lock, not these ones, the toilet lid and handle holder, and the multi-pack. Now this has closet restrictors as well, like cabinet doors and stuff on it as well. So all of this is going to go to somebody that can answer this question. So the first person to answer this question, and key to this, folks, is you cannot have won a prize within the last month, okay? And the first person to put the answer in either today in the live show or in the comments on the replay, either one will qualify. The first one that I see correct will win. Now, the question is, what is the number one cause of death in children? You have to get the closest answer to what I have written on the sheet. What is the number one cause of death in children? Now, the answer comes from the CDC, and all these councils agreed on this, okay? The answer, they all agreed. The CDC, the National Safety Council, the U.S. Consumer Protection and Safety Commission all agreed that this is the number one cause of death in small children. All right. The child safety package. I mean, if you got little kids, all this stuff is totally, or if you have somebody that's going to have a kid, I mean, they're going to need to buy all this stuff, and it's probably $50-$60 worth of. I went to spend too much money on this stuff, but it was all good talking stuff, and we got to show people what they got to do. Get the full child safety package. We'll box that up and we will ship it out to you for the first person to get the answer correct. All right. Next thing we got is our mystery box battle. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna get this stuff out of the way. Whoops. Man, we're both taking stuff out. So we got mystery box battle. If you have never watched the show before, I will kind of recap how this works. Did you look inside?
I gave you that one already.
Okay, sorry. So
yeah,
all right. So if you have never watched the show before, we do a mystery box battle. The mystery box battle, basically 2 competing materials. No. 2 competing materials, and like if we had copper versus PEX, or we had nails versus screws or whatever. I mean, we have had a number of different mystery box battles, carpet versus vinyl plank flooring. Lots of different mystery box battles, and today is no different. We have 2 competing materials that are in the same space, and if you go to the hardware store, you will have a decision to make. Which one do you buy? Which one do you not buy? Mm-hmm. And we're going to open up our box. We're going to show you what we've got, and then we're going to take 1 minute to explain to you why our product is better than their product, and do it in either telling why that one's a bad one or why yours is a good one. Whatever, you get 1 minute, and whoever goes second will get a brief rebuttal to whatever the argument that was presented was. All right, so our products, you ready?
Yep.
What do you got?
Get a wax ring.
He's got a wax ring. What's the wax ring for, Michael?
Your toilet.
It's for your toy. Yep. I have a reusable foam. Oh, I don't know if it's foam. It's kind of like
You didn't buy the good one.
I know there's a better one. I didn't. You know how expensive that one is, but
$8.
it's more than that.
$8.95.
It's more than that. This one is a foam and rubber version of a wax ring for a toilet. Comes in 2 different sizes here that are all in the same package. Both used to seat your toilet onto the flange that's on your floor to make sure all your yuck goes in the yuck hole and not onto your floor. Okay. And if you don't have a tight seal, you may not detect it right away. You'll know eventually that you have a problem. So we want to make sure if you're taking that toilet off and you're resetting it, that you put either one of these down. Okay, as long as you put one of these down, you'll be all right. All right. It's when you don't put one of these down that you have a bigger problem. All right. Now, let's get into it. Would you like to go first or second, Michael?
I'll go first.
You go first. What do you got?
So wax ring. This one happens to be extra thick. Like Matt was saying, installed on all the toilets. The nice thing about these, I actually stick it. The wax rings I stick to the bottom of the toilet, so it's already lined up with the discharge hole. Yep. And then stick it down to the floor. And then because this is extra thick, you can use it. If you have a tile floor, it's gonna should be higher than your tile, and then it squishes out to the sides, and there's a lot of extra material here versus that one that just has the rubber gasket on it, and you have to set your toilet down on it. Perfect. I mean, obviously there is a little bit of wiggle room, but if you set it right on this edge, this is going to mush out to the sides and seal. Yeah. Oh, and the rubber's up. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So in this one,
I don't use those.
Well,
I use the blue ones.
The blue ones are nice. I got
Those ones are slick.
Let's see. This goes down on your flange like that.
And this is a spacer.
You could keep them both in there.
Yeah. The thing I don't like about the rubber one, like this material, is that it degrades over time. The wax ring is not going to degrade unless your toilet comes loose. Then both of these will fail.
If your toilet comes loose, yes. If your toilet comes loose, that will fail. Oh, sorry.
It will. Yeah, both of them will fail. Yeah, I'm good.
Both of them will fail, but mine can be reused.
Yours can be reused.
Yes.
But what's the cost of that one? That's the other thing.
Would you really want to reuse it?
Sure.
Sounds
Why
like
not?
You could. I mean, the only reason you'd want to
rinse
reusable
it off
one,
and go. Tammy's grossed out by poo-poo. She doesn't realize that you and I, when you do sewer scopes, we're dealing with the poo-poo.
Yeah.
All the time.
Sometimes
Lucky
in
you.
crawl spaces.
Sometimes there's poo-poo in crawl spaces. That is true. But on this one, so we do have different 2 different sizes. So if you have a flush floor, so you don't have tile or raised flooring of some kind, that you might use this lower profile. Okay, but if you have your tile floor, which is raised up a little bit higher because of your thin set as well as the thickness of the tile, boop, goes right on the top of there. This goes on in the flange, so it sits on the floor like this, okay? And then you set your toilet on top of here. These 2 rings are where the holes for the bolts would go through. Then you tighten this down, and it mushes down this foam here, making a nice tight seal, okay? Now, the nice thing is if you misset the toilet, or the toilet becomes loose, or you for some reason need to take the toilet off because you're going to put tile down or whatever, you can rinse this sucker off and go again. Most of the time with these, the only dirty part's going to be this interior portion here. Okay. If you got a little off center, it might be a little bit more, but generally speaking. Now, the one that Mike's talking about, it's a blue one, I think. Right?
Yeah,
it's
blue.
got a inflated. It's not inflated. It's like got a different foam rubber piece on here.
It doesn't even. So it actually has an integrated foam and wax ring that seals to the flange to the floor, and then the top section is all rubber. So it's actually reverse. Basically, it's not tapered like this on the top side, but I like that one better. I just felt like this one is a little bit more chintzy.
You also should know the bottom of the toilet where this goes in there's a lip on the bottom of the toilet, so that recesses down into here.
Yeah,
you know. So, yeah. I mean, there's pluses and minuses to both. I like this one because all too often I've needed to move the toilet or take a toilet off or whatever, and cleaning up the wax ring is kind of messy and gross, and it gets that especially the thick ones, they kind of mush all over the place,
Yeah.
and It's just one more thing you got to clean up. Where this, even if you don't want to reuse this, pick it up, throw it away. It's gone, and your flange is nice and clean since the last time you cleaned it. It's just a matter of doing that. Reusable cleaner to use if you don't place the toilet down just right. You think you can lift it up and replace it. The blue ones are great. So Dustin, one of our other inspectors, is saying Matt wins. I'm just summarizing here. That's what I'm hearing.
But you want the blue one, not the red one.
Correct.
Yes.
Blue one.
Okay, but they didn't
I
have
use
the
blue
blue
ones.
one at Menards. Okay.
That's the problem. You went. Never mind. Carry on.
Okay, there's some things that are good at Menards, and there's some things that are good at Home Depot. And you know what? I was actually in Lowe's the other day. There's some things that are better than Menards and Home Depot at Lowe's. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised at Lowe's tool selection.
You got some blue cobalt tools now?
Well, they got Cobalt. That's their cheap stuff, but better than Masterforce.
It is.
At Menards. Not to knock him Menards or anything, but John Menard, is what he is,
Yeah.
So I wish that they would carry, like Lowe's, they have Milwaukee and DeWalt and stuff. Home Depot, Milwaukee, DeWalt. Menards, no Milwaukee, no DeWalt.
Yeah.
You
Milwaukee Tool is what you guys own primarily.
We're both big fans of Milwaukee. We like red. Not that Mike's got a jacket or anything on. Not that I have Milwaukee underwear on. Or anything. Not just kidding. I might be kidding. Both wax rings are a reasonable option. If you're replacing your toilet, you gotta get a wax ring. You can't just put the toilet down over the opening and call it a day. And
silicone should not be used.
Yeah, and it's to prevent the yuck, but also to prevent gases. That flange that's underneath there, lots of times when you're putting a toilet over that, they're relying on the P-trap that's built into the toilet, and so there isn't one that's intentionally built. The Fluid Master is better than wax. That's the blue one, I think, is what he's talking about. But the opening that's underneath there doesn't necessarily have a P-trap on it. They
Go straight down.
assume that your P-trap is built into your toilet, and it goes straight down. Now, the only place where you sometimes will have a P-trap in a toilet is in a wall-mounted toilet, but that's even very rare. You had one in your house, but I know that
was actually, it was just a Y. Straight.
Was it a straight Y?
Down.
So the P-trap still had to be in the toilet then, on your wall-mounted toilet. Yeah. So, definitely. Either way you go, you're going to be doing all right. Now the next thing we have is 5 early spring home maintenance tips. You want to take number 1?
Gutters. Yeah. A lot of people think gutters are, I guess, for lack of a better term, mistake-proof when they put gutter guards on. I can't tell you how many times I've seen trees growing out of gutter guards. So make sure those are clean. Yeah, if you see during a rainstorm, I'm the guy outside looking at my gutters and downspouts, making sure that they're draining where they're supposed to be.
Everybody should be. Yeah. If you go outside during a heavy rainstorm, put it up on an umbrella, walk around the outside of your house, and if the water is visibly falling off your roof, I don't care how it's visibly falling off your roof. If it's falling off your roof, then what you're looking at is a gutter problem. And if that water is getting right next to your house, you're going to have a wet basement eventually. Your sump pump's going to run more frequently. And in the event of a power outage, guess who gets to have the grand prize of a flooded basement?
Not me.
Not me.
I got a battery backup.
Oh, do you? There you go. Yeah. But you definitely don't want it to be you, because if you get a flooded basement, you need a new furnace, you need a new water heater, you need all new personal belongings. It's a hot mess. And if you have gutter problems, guess who usually doesn't cover the cost of repairs? Insurance. Homeowners insurance does not cover you being negligent in the operation of your home, regretfully. So, unless, when it comes to the gutters, if they get damaged in the storm and things like that, that's a different story. But, if you just generally don't clean your gutters and the water flows over and causing your basement to get flooded, generally speaking, homeowners insurance doesn't cover it. When we have Dan in from Colonial Insurance, we'll ask him that question. Definitely something. Can you make a note of that, Tam? Now, the next thing we have, item number 2, fertilize shrubs and trees so they grow back healthy. Your trees and shrubs are working very hard to get out of the soil at this time, especially here in Wisconsin. So we teased them all a little bit with some 85-degree weather for 3 days, and then we threw a bunch of snow at them and freezing weather and sleet. I mean, we had hail here. We had hail issues.
Hail down here.
Oh my gosh, we had piles of it. I mean, I had a handful of hail that was probably golf ball size. All of them. There was a whole bunch of them. It was pretty crazy. But so definitely give them a hand. Put a little fertilizer out there. Tree and shrub fertilizer is pretty universal. I don't think you could put it, if you bought a little bag of it or whatever, you can't put it by a bush or tree that's not going to like it. Okay, you're basically adding a bunch of nitrogen to the area to give them a little bit of a jolt to get up and get out and get healthy, and it's going to pay long term in the overall health of the plant and its appearance and stuff like that. So that's a good idea. The next one, Michael, what do you got?
Change your furnace filter, or your air conditioner filter if you have a boiler. So.
Yeah, definitely want to. You're talking about an air handler.
Air handler, yeah.
So when we talk about moving air through your home, you got to make sure that you have some sort of filtration that's going to filter the dust and particulate. Not only to make your house not as dusty, but also they make your equipment stay cleaner, run better, run longer, and changing your furnace filter should be a regular maintenance item. Yeah, I mean, if you have a thick filter, once every 6 months. If you have a skinny filter, once every 3 months is what you're looking at. If you're buying a filter that you can see through because you're a cheapskate,
it's not going to filter much.
Don't even bother changing the filter.
Talked about that on the furnace episode.
Yeah, you're just destroying your equipment at that point. So those blue ones, if you can see through it, if you hold it up and you can see the rest of the store through your filter, you got a problem. You got a problem.
Blue ones and green ones.
Yeah.
You want the white pleated ones.
Oh, yeah, they do make them in green, too. Yeah. So if you can see through the filter, don't buy it. It's a bad bet. Okay. And then the next one, get a tune-up on your air conditioner. That should be every 2 years. Okay. If you haven't had a tune-up on your air conditioner in a while, get one done. Okay. Not only is it going to make the equipment run more efficiently, it's going to catch problems before it's a problem. And when it gets really hot out, guess who's not available because they're busy? HVAC technicians. So if you want to be able to enjoy your air conditioner on those really hot days, get a tune-up when it's not absolutely necessary. Okay, but ultimately, a tune-up is going to make the unit last longer, perform better, catch problems before they're problems. If they do have lower refrigerant levels and things like that, they can top that off. They can put in sealants and things like that to get the unit to last a little bit longer. But ultimately, a tune-up every 2 years should happen on all of your HVAC equipment, your furnace and your air conditioner. Now, doing the tune-up in either the spring or in the fall is a good idea because then they can do both the furnace and the air conditioner at the same time. If you try to get a tune-up in the middle of winter, guess what? They're not going to be able to do your air conditioner, and you're going to have a separate service call. So try to get them done both at the same time. All right. And the last one, Mike?
Turn on hose bibs.
Turn on your hose bibs. Yeah.
Make sure they're open first, then turn the water on slowly. You know? And then if you have old gate valves that you just turn until they stop, then you want to make sure the packing nut is not leaking after you turn it because a lot of times they start leaking.
Yeah, the packing. So if you have the handle up here, you have the shaft going down. There's a nut right on top of there. That's the packing nut. And if you have a leak, you can take that off and replace the little washer that's in there and stuff. Definitely when you go to turn that water on, if you turn it on and you didn't open your faucet at all, this goes for the water in your house too. Okay, you can actually take that pressure head and you can blow out the spigot. You can wreck the faucet head and stuff like that. So definitely want to make sure that is open. And start just light. Just turn it on a little bit. You got to get all that air out of the line, okay? And then the water's going to sprinkle a little bit, okay? And once that water's coming out with a good steady flow and no air spurting out of it, then you can feel free to turn that water pressure up to your outside hose spigots. But definitely 5 things you should do in early home maintenance, and go do them in the near future. That'd be a good idea. Now, the last thing we have for today before we get to our tip of the week and wrap the show up is we have something that I know that you need to know.
What's that?
To flush or not to flush?
Do I really need to know this?
You do. Okay. You do. Okay. So there is here, slide that over there, would you?
Yep.
Now there is a lot of people out there that I had a conversation with my client just the other day about it. She brought it up. I didn't bring it up. About butt cleanliness.
Okay.
And we started talking about bidets and all that kind of stuff,
Wipes? You're bringing up wipes?
I didn't bring it up. She brought it up.
Oh. I know somebody that has what?
Dude wipes?
Hey.
Dude wipes.
The debate.
Okay.
Debate. Toilet paper, wipes, both, none. Do we flush or we not flush?
Toilet paper all day.
All day, even though it takes about 24 hours for toilet paper to break down.
Yeah. Most people, I would say unless you're buying specifically flushable wipes, they're going to use baby wipes or something that they have in their house. And I don't know offhand. I know those are flushable.
Yeah.
I saw that.
These, for just so you out there, these are this is good stuff. Dude wipes,
But they still clog
Mint
filter.
Chill. Mint Chill. If you never use, I mean, oh man, I don't mean to get excited, but when you're talking about cleaning yourself after you get done, you use the toilet paper. It's coarse, and it doesn't get you clean all the way. Okay. Now, after using this, I like to use the bidet. The bidet works really well because it jets up there and whoosh, and the nozzle goes back and forth, rinsing it all off and everything like that. Okay. And then there's a little heated hair dryer that comes in there and dries your business out and stuff. Love it. I mean, super clean. I feel like I got out of the shower. I feel like I just got a deep shower scrub and I'm
a little bougie.
It's not bougie. It's there are four.
So you wipe, you do the bidet, and then you do the dude wipes on top.
No. The dude wipes are for when I don't have
triple cleaning.
When I don't have access to the bidet.
Okay.
So I carry a bag of these in my satchel that I take into the house at every inspection, because we go into homes sometimes where there's nobody living there. There ain't no toilet paper. There ain't even paper towel. So I got to have a resort,
just in case.
And carrying this in my backpack doesn't work real well,
You just smush it down.
But these dude wipes, they actually make them little individual packs and stuff too, which is kind of sweet,
Nice.
But Mint Chill.
Okay.
It's if you could imagine wiping something with like a menthol on it, like
not icy hot.
It's kind of like, I mean, it's not like icy hot where it feels like that,
Yeah.
but it's like a light menthol, but it feels like there's a cool breeze coming out of your underpants, I mean, they smell good. I mean, I don't know. I don't think you can go wrong. But the only thing with this is this takes 24 hours to dissolve in water. These 6 days and they're not completely dissolved yet.
Oh,
I know. But Dustin says get the bidet. Bidet is the way to go. But in the event that you don't have access to the bidet, now most municipal sewage plants, they do have filters and things like that will catch this, but this can still clog up your septic line going out. So you really got to be careful about that. If you're gonna use flushable wipes, you got to use plenty of water. So if you're gonna use flushable wipes, it's a 2 to 3 flush probably
to clear everything.
To make sure you don't get any blockages or anything like that because you're using the wipes. All right, they do take a long time to break down in water and stuff like that, but they do eventually break down. I mean, these say they're plant sourced fibers, so I don't know. It's not quite a baby wipe. Baby wipes will never break down in water. You put a baby wipe in a toilet, it will never break down in water. So don't use baby wipes. Okay. If you're going to use a wipe of some kind, use a flushable wipe. I like the Dude Wipe Mint Chill. However, Cottonelle, it was a cute YouTube video where this grandpa and his granddaughter did this experiment with all these flushable wipes, super cute. They went grandpa was just trying to do something to keep the granddaughter busy, so they made this YouTube video about flushable wipes and what would deteriorate the fastest. So they bought all these different flushable wipes, and the Cottonelle one was the fastest. It actually deteriorated to almost to the level of toilet paper in 24 hours. Which was kind of cool. However, there was other ones like, Charmin and other ones that just didn't deteriorate for nothing for over a couple of days, So it is what it is. I mean, most municipalities are going to recommend that you don't use these, okay? If you're on a septic system, don't use these, okay? They do make ones, the flushable wipes, that do break down faster, but they're pretty weak and your finger can poke through pretty quickly. Not that I'm speaking from experience, okay?
It's like single ply. That's what you're saying.
It's like single ply.
Okay.
Yeah. Single ply is a bad idea. Damn it, where are we going with this? Single ply is a bad idea. I don't know why people still use that. I mean,
a lot of people recommend it on septic systems.
Single ply?
Single ply.
But
because it's easier.
I have to fold it over 24 times before I don't poke my finger through.
The amount.
Yeah. So what's the point at that point? I don't know.
Well, the point is you don't. No.
Yeah, I get you. I get you.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it at that.
So you flush more when you use the dude wipes is the ultimate message you're sending.
You flush more when you use the dude wipes, but you feel clean. Using toilet paper,
So you turn down your water heater 5 degrees to use more water. Sorry. for the menthol.
The water is cheaper. No, the water is cheaper than the water
All right.
is cheaper than the gas it takes or electric it takes to run the water heater. But
Yeah.
if you're using toilet paper, you're not getting completely clean, and you're leaving little bits of toilet paper behind in your business. I mean, I don't know. We had the debate on site with one of my clients or whatever, and the bidet definitely wins. Wipes is a close second.
Yeah.
Toilet paper is okay when you need it, or to just dry things up if you're a girl. Boys
All right, so tip of the week.
Sorry. Tammy's suggesting we move on. I don't know what her thing is. But, so the tip of the week this week, if you only have 2-pronged outlets, do not use 3-prong outlet adapters, okay? If you have a device that requires 3 prongs, it requires a ground. And if you don't have a good ground, you could damage your appliance. Like?
First thing I thought of was a microwave.
Microwave, computer,
So,
television. Anything that requires
vacuums
a third
now.
vacuums, yeah. Anything that requires a third prong, you don't want to put into those little adapters because you could damage your device. Okay, you're basically bypassing the grounding of that device, and if there's any excess electrons in the system at all, it's going to fry or damage your device. So, want to try to avoid that. All right, they do still sell them. I wouldn't ever use them though. Rewire the outlet. It's that easy. And if you don't know how to do that, we'll put the guy from This Old House on our website. He has a good YouTube video about updating 2-prong outlets to 3-prong outlets. And you can figure out how to do that on your own pretty easily. All right. So next week, we've got another live show coming at you. We're still working on that. I'm trying to get the on-the-go small engine repair company here. What they called again?
Mobile repair guys.
Mobile repair guys. They've come out to repair our stuff or whatever. And the nice thing is they come right to your house and you don't have to take your lawnmower or snowblower or anything anywhere. They do it right in your garage. They bring the trailer or whatever. And if it's raining out, they go into the trailer to do the work or whatever. But great guys. They've been helping us out for a couple of years. We're going to try to get them in here next week to have a discussion about small engines because it's getting to be summer here in Wisconsin. If you haven't, most people haven't gotten their lawnmower up. Some people have. I saw some people out mowing the grass.
I did.
You
Sunday.
did? You did cut your grass? Yeah. Mine is not long enough yet to cut the grass, but will be shortly. But those of you that are getting your string trimmers out, your lawnmowers, your hedge trimmers, all that kind of stuff, we're going to get those guys in here to help us know how to open them up and also how to shut down our winter equipment, put your snowblower to sleep for a couple of months, okay? Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff. We're also going to get you a number of other tip of the week, defect of the week, all the fun stuff that we do every week. We'll have that again back for you next week. But that is our show for today, folks. Thanks again for tuning in. If you want to catch a show, if you weren't able to catch it live, catch it on the replay. We'll have that up later this week. We also have the podcast up, The Helpful Home Inspector, on all of your podcast locations. We actually, did we get TikTok up and running? TikTok's up and running, folks. I'm on TikTok. I'm not dancing, but we're doing TikToks. And you can catch us up on there. We're going to be putting stuff out a couple times a week on TikTok to help you better understand how to maintain, take care of your home, and what not to do with your home. All right. Looking forward to seeing you guys next week. Thanks again, Mike, for tuning in and hanging out with us today. That's awesome. Appreciate you. And we'll see you guys all next time. Have a good one. Remember, you guys, the better you take care of your house, the better it's going to take care of you.